Before we go, you and George Bush were both members of Skull and Bones, the secret society at Yale. The rule is, if someone mentions Skull and Bones, you walk out of the room. If you're both in a presidential debate and the moderator says Skull and Bones, do you both leave the podiums?
I doubt it.
You'll hang in there.
I think you'll see both of us have a terrific... You know, I'd love to have a debate with the president right now. There's so much to talk about for our country.
This is no old boy network. This is no, you know, I'll pat your back, you pat mine. This is not, oh, you got the same tie as me, so we're okay. This is a vicious group of interbreeding bloodlines seeking to impose their will and their structure of life upon the global population.
The world is a web controlled by one spider, the Illuminati, that disseminates a globalist agenda through a network of secret societies. The inner circle of the web is made up of 3 organizations.
The Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission have an interlocking leadership. The head of the World Bank, James Wolfensohn, is a member of this network. So is the head of the World Trade Organization. So is the Chancellor of Germany. So is the Prime Minister of Britain, Tony Blair, and a stream of Presidents of the United States, Secretaries of State, the last 6 Secretary Generals of NATO.
There's something extremely dangerous and alluring about the combination of secrecy and world ambition. What could be more threatening than a group that is in the shadows and trying to dominate your life?
The actions that these secret societies have propagated through the last century or so have only led to wars, rebellion, dissension, depressions.
The oldest of the 3 organizations, the Council on Foreign Relations, is founded in 1921.
It's good to be back at the Council on Foreign Relations. As Pete mentioned, I've been a member for a long time and was actually a director for some period of time. I never mentioned that when I was campaigning for re-election back home in Wyoming.
There's no greater example of the way the Council on Foreign Relations has manipulated history than looking at the profound effect that the United Nations has had on the world and its agencies. And the United Nations is with us because of the Council on Foreign Relations. A committee of the Council on Foreign Relations wrote the proposal. They handed it to Roosevelt, and he then announced it as if it was his policy. At the first meeting in San Francisco to launch the United Nations, 74 of the American delegation were members of the Council on Foreign Relations.
It is this group, conspiracists contend, that from its founding has also pulled the strings of an American war machine.
Most Americans really first became aware of these secret societies with the Jimmy Carter administration because Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer governor of Georgia, was brought into the Trilateral Commission back in 1972. And within 4 years, he's groomed and runs and wins as President of the United States. I once had the opportunity to interview his budget director, Bert Lance, and I asked him, well, you know, what's the deal about the Trilateral Commission? And he simply smiled and he said, I was the only member of the cabinet that was not a member, and now I'm out.
Further proof of the group's influence, according to Mars, comes in 1980 when Ronald Reagan, who is not a member of the Council on Foreign Relations or the Trilateral Commission, runs for president.
And he pledged in New Hampshire that if elected, he would investigate these secret societies. He also said that he would never accept the secret society member George Bush as a member of his administration. So he rushes into the National Convention late at night, very unprecedented, and says, I choose George Bush as my running mate. So George Bush, the secret society man, is now in the catbird seat. And then just a month or 2 after Reagan took office, he's shot. If it wasn't for about that much, it would have hit his heart, and George Bush would have been in years earlier.
And when George Bush does become president, his State of the Union address in 1991 contains a 3-word phrase that confirms for conspiracy advocates his secret globalist agenda.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order.
George Bush, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton. When you look at their administrations, apparently different, they are all not just awash, they are drowning in members of the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. So no matter what the name of the party in power, the coordinating body remains the same.
The majority of their membership are very well could be honest, well-intentioned people, okay? But I don't think that they're truly aware of what the inner motivation and agenda really is. And that's where the true secrecy comes in.
When you've got organizations which bring together the most influential people in power from around the world, who meet in secret, who try as much as they can to keep knowledge of the event quiet, and then their policies become policy in fact in the world, then you start to surely ask very serious questions.
And the one group with the best track record for implementing the policies of this secret elite, according to conspiracists, is also the world's most secret society. It is called the Bilderberg Group.
The Bilderbergers are the ruling elite of the other secret societies. That's where the real controllers meet to decide the policies that they then take back to the other secret societies. The Bilderbergers are the most secretive of the modern secret societies. They're so secretive they don't even have a name, much less publish a membership list or anything like that. Now, some of the members are known because they've been observed at their meetings, and some of the members have talked and mentioned some people, so we do have an idea of who attends the Bilderberg meetings, which are heavily under guard, heavily secret.
Attendees are believed to include Henry Kissinger, Bill Clinton, David Rockefeller, Tony Blair, Peter Jennings, and an endless list of princes, chancellors, ambassadors, and media magnates. Security for these meetings is extremely tight.
In my experience, especially in Europe, quite frequently the military itself is deployed. Then there's a large number of uniformed, armed cops.
Jim Tucker is a self-appointed Bilderberg watchdog. At the 1999 conference in Portugal, Tucker tries to get close to the hotel where the meeting is taking place.
And the cop bragged, we have snipers on top of those boulders up there, and if anybody going over that fence day or night, they're going to stay over that fence. So apparently they take security rather seriously.
The conspiracists' view of the world is that control is exerted through the control of money.
In this country, we operate under the golden rule. Whoever has the gold makes the rules.
Whether or not this type of nefarious global control exists, it is true that the Bilderbergers have been successful in at least controlling media coverage of their meetings. Leading media moguls are always invited to Bilderberg conferences, but only under the strict understanding that they will not report on what they hear.
So, for instance, Katharine Graham of the Washington Post has been to many Bilderberg meetings. One of the inner core Bilderberg members is Conrad Black, who owns 68% of newspapers in Canada, Telegraph newspapers in Britain, the Jerusalem Post, and a stream of newspapers worldwide. Not one word has appeared in his newspapers about the Bilderberg Group.
The steering committees and the bureaucracies and the meetings themselves had their own concern, rather intense concern, with not being mentioned in the press, and had this brilliant idea of co-opting whatever press they did invite and then going higher and higher in the press as they invited it. But it's quite something to have more than 100 people attend a meeting one weekend a year, all of them at least of some importance, and have nothing in the mainstream press about them. That's quite remarkable. That, in a way, may be the most remarkable thing about them.
If you, and I have done many times, said to journalists, let alone the general population, tell me about the Bilderberg Group, this glassy-eyed look comes across. The what? The what? And yet, the major people, they are reporting every day on members of an organization together, different political parties, different countries, everything, and they've never heard of it. And a few people can't control the world. Well, obviously they can, and get away